Emily, if it weren't for you, there would be nothing recorded in this classroom. Just saying. You are a rock star. And also, those of you that want a t-shirt, I have put your t-shirts in the library, other than Parsa, who's here to pick his up, with your name on it, and you can pick them up in the library. Congrats. So what we really want is just something that looks like, let me see if I can share screen and show you my copy of it. Want something that looks like this. Are we good? Take your time. Say again. It is working. It's a miracle. It's a miracle, I want to say. I have decided that it's not worth getting mad about. After Tuesday, I was so mad, and then I just decided, you know what? Being mad about something you can't fix is a waste of energy. So here we go. It is in assignments. Should say bone test, bone name test. Okay, everybody all right?
I'm all right, but I'm still numbering.
Oh, you just number away and I'll wait for you. Oh, this doesn't look good, does it? There.
On the disposable unit.
Yeah, okay, so I can't get it, my assignments to open, but it does say bone quiz. It is the one that's named, if you go through our module, that would be the way to find it.
I'm done numbering.
Excellent. All right. Okay, here we go. Are you ready? If you're not ready, put it in the chat so I can wait for you. And by the way, there are times in the hospital when nothing works. People get very frustrated. So that's okay. We can learn to be durable. Okay, here we go. Number one. Number one. What is this bone right here? And do not put these in the chat. You can totally do anything you want, Parsa. You could do any of the options that everybody else has. Number 1 to 15, what will you do with this? Take an excellent picture of it and send it to my email. That's the way you can turn it in. So right now with Canvas not working, that's all we can do. Okay, what is the name? You have a left one and a right one. This is number 1. Right here. This is George. Number 2. My hands are sitting on number 2 right here. Very, very, very strong. Can be broken with a tremendous amount of impact, or if the patient has osteoporosis, this can break quite easily. What is this bone? Right here. And by the way, remember I told you I'm just teaching you the basics. So if you're an orthopedic surgeon, you will know the name of every single little bump and crevice on the top of this bone, every single one, and there are like 40. So why? Because you might have to repair it someday. That's number 2. That was this one right here. Everybody ready? If I'm going too fast, you've got to let me know out louder in the chat. Number 3. Right here.
The lower one
Yep,
or
the lower one right here. Put my hand on it. This is number 3. Number 4. Parsi, you can just hand me your paper at the end. Number 4. Number 5. Ready? Right here. I'll turn it sideways so you can see better. Right here. I'm going to slow just for a minute for somebody in the chat. This is number 5. Okay. Number 6. Right here. Number 6. Number 7. Number 7. Number 8. Ready? Right here. This connecting bone right here. Number 9. You can see it. This wide flat bone right here.
oh, the upper one.
Right here, the wide flat one. Right here. Not this little guy down here, this wide flat one right here. Can you break this? Yes, you can. The only times I have ever seen it broken, and guys realize weeks and weeks and weeks of trauma call was a motorcycle. It's hard to break, but if you have no protection, you can break it. This wide flat bone right behind you. Oh, okay. Number 10. Right here, right below your nose, if you think about that. And your teeth are in it, your upper teeth, that bone right there. That is number 10. We have 5 more to go. Good. So number 11, this bone right here, behind which lies the part of your brain that is allowing you to coordinate your hand and your thinking right now, plus your sense of humor, plus logic, plus the ability to dissect medical terms, think abstractly,
On the surface of the brain. The gray one.
the connectors go down deeper, but yes, and also your memories right behind this bone. A really good reason to wear a seatbelt. Number 12, kind of a weird bones. This flat bone right here. This is the bone that is really giving physical therapists a lot of business right now, because with all the students Zooming and Chromebooking, people's is getting pulled forward and stretching out these muscles and putting them in spasm right now. All my friends that are PTs are like, oh my gosh, everybody. One of my friends who's a PT said, take this thing right here, this point of this bone, and try to put it in your back pants pocket. She goes, that's the best exercise. It's just try to help it be flat. Okay, that is number 12. Okay, number 13. Numbers 13. These little tiny roundy bones right in here. Not these long ones, these right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. Right here. Number 14. Hope you can see it. Ooh, it's sticking up. Right here. This little round bone that I gave you the answer to accidentally the last time we did this. On the anterior side of your knee joint. That's number 14, this little tiny bone right here. Here's the knee. There's the foot upside down. Shouldn't be upside down. And there's this little protective bone. It's like a little pebble. That's number 14. And last one. Ooh. This bone. Oops, can you see it? Not quite. Okay. This bone. You sit right straight on it. This is the one that hurts if you take an overseas flight. You can't get out of your seat for 14 hours. Or very often. So this one that you sit on. Okay. So now send that to me. Take a nice picture of it. Take your time. I'm going to give you a minute to do it. Send it to my email. Everybody has my email, correct? I'll just I love taking things in real paper. I'm going to get one right now from Parson. Thank you, Parson. Exciting. I love having students hand things in. It's one of the things I miss. Oh, give you a few minutes to do that. Yes, Emily wants to go over it again for a double check. Okay, it's going to be fast, Emily. Ready? Those of you that want to double check, I'll just grade parses while we're at it. Number 1, this. Number 2, here. Number 3, here. Number 4, here. Number 5. Can't see it very well. Here. Number 6. Number 7. Number 8. Number 9. Number 10. Number 11. Number 12. Number 13. Little bones. Number 14. Anterior knee. Number 15. You sit on it. Okay, Emily? Go ahead and send them, guys. See if Canvas is behaving any better. Something big happened with Canvas this week. I don't know. No, it's not really working better, but okay. Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate that. Okay, here we go. Let's just look at this just for a second. So starting to think we just need to leave Canvas alone now. Not very helpful to me. I just wanted you to see what student applied for today. You're going to take your test and then do the first 5 pages of reading in our chapter on muscles. So we're just going to do an introduction. I put the learning targets up. See if it'll open it. We are going to try to accomplish all of our targets, but they'll be more shallow, meaning our discussion on chemistry for muscles will be very brief. How the muscle is organized will be brief. Will we have a drawing? Yes, we will. We are not building these muscles out of clay because we don't have time and we don't have a structure. So the quarantine doesn't allow me to do things in class that I can't do at home. So our clay will be on something else, but minimal. And then we're going to have Dr. Ram talk to us a little bit about muscle injuries. So that is that. Okay. I do want to show you a video and the discussion is around this video is very brief because I am going to give you time to read and I'm also going to give you time to work on late assignments as I am supposed to do at the end of every class. But one thing I do want to talk about is motivation. So I'm going to show you a video of a child that has a reasonably common diagnosis worldwide called muscular dystrophy. So we can dissect this word. So let's, I only gave you this vocab today. So remember, every chapter has a master vocab list. So does anybody want to dissect that for me in the chat or otherwise? Carson? You probably can do it. Oh, hey. Anybody? I'm waiting.
I think dice is difficult.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Kenneth. So if difficult is dis. So if I write dyspnea, difficult breathing. So Parsa says that's difficult breathing. So see why I'm teaching you these? So you'll hear nurses talking to each other and say, oh, the patient has substernal chest pain and is dyspneic. Dyspneic, meaning that the patient is panting like a dog to get air. It's a scary sign. How many times do y'all breathe per minute? Do you know? The average human breathes 12 to 15 times a minute.
A lot, a lot.
A lot. The
A lot.
average,
I mean, a lot.
the average dyspneic patient breathes like this. And they feel panicky, like they're drowning. So difficulty is the first part of that word. Let's see. Trophy means growth and development. So dystrophy means that the child has something cooking with their muscles that has made growth and development very difficult. Now, the interesting piece of this, and the reason I'm going to show you this video is this. A lot of patients that have a dystrophy of some kind have absolutely nothing wrong with their frontal lobe. So visually, the patient might look really debilitated or have what's called a flat or difficult affect. So a patient's affect is the way that, and I'm taking my mask off to show you that when you look at my affect, my face, you are learning something about me. Okay. Mrs. Ellis is alert. She's oriented. She knows where she is. She doesn't appear to be in pain. She can speak. She has good cognition. All of this just from looking at my face. Okay. So with a patient that has a dystrophy, their face may look like none of that is true. But on the inside, the patient is completely like you. So I think it's really important when we teach science or when we teach school, doesn't matter the subject. What is motivating you? So I just think it's an interesting question. I mean, you don't have to answer it, but I think it's an interesting question to think about because y'all are adults and to think about what motivates you. That is why Canvas frustrates me, because I view my job to take my student's brain from point A to point B. So that next year, are you going to take anatomy next year, Parsa?
For college, I think.
Or maybe second year? So that when
Math.
okay, so at some point, y'all are going to take anatomy if you stay in the health sciences. And my job, there you go, Kenneth, he's taking his third year. Yes, my job is that when the teacher comes in the room on the first day and says, let's just do the first 40 bones this week. And you're going to be like, I already know 30 of them. That's my job. So that's why Canvas frustrates me, because my motivation is to get that done for you so that when you go, you're not going to be like, oh my gosh, I don't know any of this and I can't move forward, or it's going to be harder and now I've got a lot of stress. My goal is that Parsa and the rest of you that are memorizing these bones go like this. Already done it. Already done it. Okay, so that's why it also frustrates me when I have to fail a student, because it makes me feel like I didn't do my job. Did I do my job? Probably, but it still makes me feel like I haven't, because usually I win. Usually my students learn. So motivation, such an important topic. Okay. Yes, name one, Kenneth. So Kenneth says distractions are frustrations. Like Canvas, you mean? You mean like Canvas?
It's something else like, for example, me and Uriel are talking, but Miss Ellis is discussing the lesson.
You and Uriel are talking while I'm discussing the lesson?
Yeah, I mean like,
I like how I'm in the example.
That's shocking. Oh yeah. So yeah, but Uriel, in my world, just so you know, because I've been teaching a long time, students talking is, to be honest, it's not that big a deal.
No, I feel so special.
I'm sorry, Uriel.
I feel so special now.
do you good. Failing,
I'm inside.
a student failing is a distraction to me. Why? Because there's sort of this idea, well, it doesn't matter that much. And my thing is like, oh no, it matters. It's kind of like my diabetic patient telling me, I'm not going to take my medicine. I don't need it. It's no big deal. And I'm envisioning their blood vessels dying and them having a heart attack and all other kinds of things happening. But the patient is like, I'm good. Totally good. So we're just going to watch this quick video on this little kiddo. It's only like 7 minutes. Good food for thought. Let Miss Ellis hook up the thingy bob. My daughter, by the way, teaches at a university, and she said, Mom, have you ever heard of Kahoot? Like, you guys know what Kahoot is? I laughed. I was like, Rachel, every high school kid knows what Kahoot is now. Let's.
Tom is our much loved, long awaited eldest child of 2. Typical boy, loves to play in the woods, saying he loves to be outside. So Tom was slow to crawl. He didn't crawl till he was about a year old and started walking when he was 18 months. The thing, however, that kept me concerned is I used to take him to toddler groups, and at toddler groups they have these little bouncy trampolines where the children can hold on. Holding on, so supporting his arms, he couldn't take his weight and bounce at 18 months. He still couldn't do that at 2. He still couldn't do that at 2.5. By the age of 3, his walking was reasonable, but he'd still fall quite a lot. And from there on, I thought we needed to get him seen just to check that everything was okay. So we went to see the paediatrician, and I thought we'd be here a few minutes, and we ended up staying there for an hour. It was the first person who'd done a full neurological assessment, and he tested his reflexes, he tested, the strength of his muscles. And a couple of times he said to him, I want you to lie down on the floor and get up as quickly as you can. And I now know that that's the Gowers manoeuvre, and children with Duchenne struggle to do this. The next day, it must have been about 9 o'clock, and he said the blood tests have shown some very high chemical levels which indicate he has a type of condition called muscular dystrophy. And I said, so what are we talking about here? And he said, I have to say, on the basis of this blood test, I think he's got the severe form. And I said, so what does that mean? What treatments can we give him? Can we start treatment straight away? And he said, unfortunately, there are no treatments for this condition. And I said, so tell me he's not going to die. And he said, well, it is a 100% fatal condition. And at that point, my world fell apart.
Duchenne muscular dystrophy is a devastating genetic condition that primarily affects the skeletal muscle. It shows progressive muscle weakness and wasting, and unfortunately is always fatal.
He's now getting tireder, he's getting colder. As the muscles turn to scar tissue, they lose some of their thermal ability. So of course he's plateaued now, whereas his peers at school, and certainly his sister, they keep acquiring skills. 7-year-old boys run faster every day.
So when you want to play, you want to be active, you start to explore football and things that are fun for boys. This is when you realize that I'm not as good and strong as my friends. I am not able to compete as much.
His little sister was walking at 10 months. She's a physical little girl, and I think that actually has been the most challenging thing for him. Seeing a sibling, particularly a younger sister, equal him in ability and then quickly surpass him, he finds that really, really challenging.
I think the really terrible aspect about Duchenne muscular dystrophy that it is, a slowly progressive disease. There's currently no cure. You will die at a time when life normally gets very exciting.
At what point do I tell my son that one day he'll fall on the floor and probably be unable to get up? At what point do I tell him that he's going to end up in a wheelchair? At what point do I tell him that he will not marry his little girlfriend at school because he probably won't be around then.
With the diagnosis of Duchenne muscular dystrophy, this entire concept that we have of life all of a sudden completely disappears and dissociates. And what you see is my son will sit in a wheelchair, my son will die before me. And so I think this is the first shocking moment, getting this diagnosis.
Our life has changed beyond all recognition, really, so we decided we'd sell our house. Immediately it was apparent that if we wanted to do the best for Tom, we'd have to widen doorways, we'd have to strengthen roof joists to put hoists in. All the adaptations are taking place. The research that Action Medical Research is funding, to me, is everything. For the first time, I truly believe ever, we're at a breakthrough time with this condition.
Treatments for rare diseases could potentially also have a use for more common diseases.
This condition is the #1 genetic killer of children. It's 100% fatal. If we could just have something that could slow it down, slow its progression, so children can walk for a little bit longer, they can hug their parents for a little bit longer, that means everything.
So supporting Action Medical Research and providing funds for rare disease research, like for Duchenne muscular dystrophy, also means that you are providing hope to patients with these terrible diseases.
I want my son to have a shot at life like anybody else, but he's only going to get that with a treatment that will help him. That's why it's so important that the research continues. We're nearly there. It's tantalisingly close. We really have an opportunity to save little boys here.
All right. Okay, so we only saw it small, I'm sorry. So the reason, guys, that I always try to put a disease process, so that little boy, Thomas, is in a wheelchair today. And those patients that have muscular dystrophy usually die in their 20s, early 20s. And the reason they die is that their diaphragm the muscle that comes underneath your rib cage like this, and it is normally relaxed in this shape. And when you take a breath, this is of course not conscious, it contracts and flattens itself like this and draws air into the lungs. So the reason I chose it for the muscle unit is just to underscore why we who are interested in healthcare take the time to learn the muscles. We take the time. So in practice, Parsa, you're going to be a doc, right? So I'm just going to write out, and guys, I'm only using this for an example. There are hundreds of healthcare careers. Probably some of you would like me to talk about other ones, but the same principle applies. And I have 20 careers I could talk about that take 2 years of college, not 10. Okay, so here we go. Residency years, I just write that because you get paid there. Here our students get their MD. I think there's several students, Eugene. I don't know who else in this class is interested. Here's your bachelor's degree in college. Here's medical school. Okay. Here's high school. Okay. Or your 12 years of education. And the only reason I'm showing you the video is that during these years, students decide what motivates me. So for some people, it's this. Usually doesn't make them happy very long. Okay, so the reason I also show it is that I've talked about this before with myself included. Why should I learn to do that? So I'll tell you a class I absolutely hated. I just love to know if anybody has taken it and liked it, because there are some students who do it. Does anybody like statistics? Have you taken stats?
Yeah,
You,
I'm good at it, but it's not the best part of the math.
yeah. Haven't yet because of COVID.
Correlations
Go ahead,
from
Kenneth.
previous 3 points.
Go ahead. I didn't hear you. Okay, I struggle in statistics. I took a year of stats. One semester was general stats. And then I took applied statistics and I struggled through the whole thing. So hard for me.
But it's very useful in medicine.
Parsa, louder.
Very useful in medicine.
So useful in medicine. I didn't really get that when I was 20 years old. And I was like, oh my gosh. So here's nursing school, only goes to here. You're an RN here. What I didn't get is that right here in the middle of nursing school, I would be reading research articles and I needed the math. I needed to understand how statistics work so that when patients ask me questions, should I do this? Should I take this vitamin? Should I take this supplement? Should I take calcium? Should I take heart disease medicine? Then you could talk about research and data and not just your opinion. So my point being that thinking about where am I motivated? There are 30 healthcare careers that take 2 years of college. And you can get that, and you can get your college free in Oregon under Oregon Promise. You can get 2 years of college free in Oregon at the community college and do that. So my point being just for you to think about the fact that someone for that little boy, that researcher for that little boy was here. And my question is, what do you think motivates people like that? What motivates them? What helps them get up and go to work another day, study longer? What helps them do it? Just, you don't have to answer it unless you want to, but it's an important subject to think about if you never study science. What motivates me? Okay. Questions about what you're supposed to do now? It's very quiet. So reading, check your email, look at Synergy, unless you have 100% in this class, and there are a couple of people who do. Turn in your test that we just gave, and then once you've done those things, those of you that are CDL, you can go. And I will see you on Friday, tomorrow.
Thank you. Have a good day. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Pick up your t-shirts, you guys.
Bye, Hudson.
But when should we pick up the t-shirts?
They're there now, Kenneth. So we're here during school hours, except for on Wednesdays.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Cool.